I was in dance all of my life. It was the thing I did. Every year we had the big spring recital and they record it. And there was this one year, I was maybe 14. My mom, she played it. And for some reason, I asked my mom, I'm like, is that how I look? My mom said, yes. But I still obviously knew I was shorter and then I had dwarfism and everything. But for some reason in my head, I looked as uniformed as all of the other girls. And after I saw that video, I realized I wasn't going to be like everybody else. I was going to look like that for the rest of my life.
Around the world, 1 in 25,000 children are born with achondroplasia, a type of dwarfism which stunts growth and can lead to dangerous health problems. But now, scientists have developed a drug which they believe can treat the condition, allowing patients to grow to an average height. It's being hailed as a miracle, but do those who are born small want to grow tall? In the world of modern science, Casper and his mum Daisy are a pretty big deal. 14-month-old Casper has achondroplasia, the most common form of dwarfism. But thanks to a scientific breakthrough, Casper may outgrow his condition.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Who's this?
This is Casper.
Hello, Casper. How are you? Hello. I'm gonna wave.
Since he was 5 months old, Casper has been part of a global trial for a drug called vosoritide.
Here they are. Oh, here he is. Hey, who's this guy? Who's this grown-up boy?
Yeah, I know.
Doctors believe the drug will help Casper and kids like him to grow at an average rate.
How are the injections going?
The injections are going well.
Who's doing them mainly?
Myself and Justin.
Yep.
Yep.
And you're getting...
And my mum sometimes.
That's
She's
good.
She's got the hang of it.
It's good to have mum trained because at least you can sort of have a day off.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right. Rest for mum.
Geneticist Dr. Ravi Savarayan is leading the trial. He's known Daisy since Casper was just 2 weeks old.
When I first met Daisy, she had all of those emotions, which you can imagine she was delighted to be a mum. But she was terrified that her child had achondroplasia. Who's this? Who's this? My job was to try and give her accurate, up-to-date information so then she could get some control back over what was a very disempowering situation.
You're going to crawl right off the edge, aren't you?
He's coming for you.
Achondroplasia affects bone growth. In adulthood, patients typically develop large heads, regular-sized torsos and very short arms and legs, which limits their height.
Does he stand at all unsupported with the holding on? No, not yet.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Ravi believes that starting a few months after birth, a daily injection of vosoritide will help the child's bones grow at an average rate.
With vosoritide, how does it actually work?
Achondroplasia is like trying to drive your car with the handbrake on. This medication basically comes in and takes off that handbrake so that bone growth can resume as it would have otherwise.
In babies with achondroplasia, an important gene called FGFR3 is, medically speaking, considered faulty. FGFR3 regulates bone development, but a rare mutation in the gene causes bones to grow slower than normal. An average 2-year-old grows 6 centimetres a year, while a child with achondroplasia grows about 4 centimetres a year. When bone growth stops in early adulthood, the result is dramatic reduction in height and proportions. Enter vosoritide. When administered as a daily injection, a molecule within vosoritide interferes with the faulty gene pathway, allowing bones to grow at a regular rate. The drug assists the faulty gene, minimising the effects of achondroplasia, or at least, that's the theory.
I guess what I'm interested in is the why. Why does it matter to you?
There's actually 500 different types of dwarfism. Most people think it's a condition that just affects stature, and they're totally unaware of the huge medical complications that patients can have.
Alrighty, mister, let's see if we can connect these up.
there's an increased risk of sleep-disordered breathing, having to have an operation on your spine. In the first 5 years, the incidence of sudden infant death syndrome is 50 times that of a child without achondroplasia. So Casper's a really healthy child right now with a potential whole list of problems, and I hope this medication will mean that none of those problems will ever come to fruition.
Oh, do you want to help me? You want to hold that?
The early data is promising. Results suggest that patients achieve average growth after 3 to 6 months on the drug.
Good job, that's that one done.
The study is ongoing, with 121 kids enrolled in 7 countries around the world.
I know you don't like stretching.
For them, the cost of growing up is a daily injection at home, followed by frequent hospital visits for intensive testing and study. And there's even a tougher pill to swallow. Being a controlled study, 1 in 2 patients receive a placebo in their first year of the trial, meaning Casper may not even be getting vosoritide.
So there's a 50-50 chance that he's on the inactive dose.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Initially I was hesitant because giving Casper the injections to start with when he wasn't used to it was quite distressing. But with time, Casper's getting used to it, I'm getting used to it.
And as you know, Daisy, the good thing is that whatever he's on, inactive or active, after 1 year, he'll have access to the active drug until he finishes growing.
The good news for Casper is that his 1-year anniversary is just a few weeks away. But the reality is, there's no guarantee Casper or any trial participant will experience enhanced growth or safely finish the trial. For all involved, it is a giant leap of faith.
People like Daisy, who put their children up for these trials, which are still in early stage, experiments, it's a hugely courageous thing to do. She's putting her trust in us, in me, that this medication is going to benefit her child and not harm her child. So they are the absolute heroes of this. They're the pioneers of this that's going to set the stage for the future.
It's a lot of hard work, it's tough at times, but he's the love of my life and I just want to do as much as possible to give him the best possible start to life.
All over the world, unsuspecting homes like Daisy's and Justin's, where the trial plays out every day.
Hello!
Hey, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you.
It's Casper! Hello!
Say hi, Mark.
Hey,
Say hi,
Ben!
Mark.
Good wave, good wave.
Baby, come on in.
Thank you. Hey, Ben!
So we're just about to get Casper's vosoritide injection ready for the day. Essentially we just need to mix the water with the powder in the vial to create the liquid and then we wait a couple of minutes and then get the injection ready. Sorry, darling. It's over in a second. It's okay.
Well done, good boy.
Oh, there we go. It's okay. Hey.
Oh, back to normal again. So, you do this every day?
Every day.
So how long is he going to need to do these?
Until he reaches his final adult height, so until puberty finishes.
That's 2 decades.
Yeah, about 2 decades, yeah.
Jeez, right.
For Daisy, for Justin, this is all a huge commitment. Life with little Casper is a fair bit different to what they were expecting when they first got pregnant.
It was my first little bub and I'd wanted to be a mum for a very long time. So we were very excited until the point where we went for our 12-week scan and we were told that something was wrong, but they weren't sure what.
When he was born, our doctor said he's pretty sure that he had achondroplasia, but he couldn't confirm it.
And then we brought him home and when he was 10 days old, they gave us a call and said, yeah, it is what we suspect. I felt pretty ill-equipped at the time, but our hospital referred us to Dr. Ravi and he sort of just said, it's going to be okay. And we were told about the trial.
And so how did you weigh up the decision to put Casper through the trial?
I think I had anxieties about what his future would look like, what his life would look like, worrying about him getting bullied at school for his appearance. But Yeah, ultimately, the decision to become a part of the trial wasn't aesthetic or cosmetic for me. A lot of my decision was rooted in health complications and avoiding as much of that as possible.
Have either of you, before the birth of Casper, ever had any dealing with short-statured people, little people, achondroplasia at all?
No.
I guess one of the complications is that you're two average height parents making decisions for a really young child that are going to affect him for the rest of his life. How do you feel like you're handling that pressure?
There are days where you know, you still doubt yourself and go like, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing everything that I could?
As his parents, we have a duty of care, as it were, and we want to give him the best start. So we are two average height parents, but two average height parents doing the best we can.
Statistically, 80% of kids with dwarfism are born to average height parents, meaning the decision to put children into the vosoritide trial is often made by parents with little to no prior experience of dwarfism. This disconnect has led many to question the ethics of the vosoritide trial. Some in the short-statured community are going so far as accusing scientists of trying to eradicate little people. Did you realise early on that the trial was controversial amongst the little people community?
Not at the beginning,
Okay.
but yeah, we've been a part of it for a while now and I'm aware of the controversy surrounding it.
Do you understand why there is controversy around it in that community?
Yeah, I believe I do.
Right now, around the world, many adults with achondroplasia are angered by the development of vosoritide. And the strongest opposition is in the United States, where an estimated 30,000 people have a form of dwarfism.
I'm fearful of the drug vosoritide. I think it could lead to a lot more bad than good.
So do you want to go get some food from the store and then we'll make lunch here?
Sounds good.
All right.
Becky, a motivational speaker, and her husband Ryan belong to Little People of America, a support organisation for short-statured people.
Should I wear my Packers hat or my Patriots hat?
Oh man, I think the Packers may match the green.
Perfect.
The organisation does not endorse the use of vosoritide.
As a little person, I'm super passionate about this space because I just don't think it matters what your height is. We just want a chance to participate in a meaningful way in society.
We got good weather today, Becky.
Gorgeous.
Just like Casper, Becky and Ryan were born to average height parents and into average height families. Becky and Ryan both attended regular high school, graduated college, and until recently, Becky worked as a casting agent in Hollywood.
Look like a Christmas tree.
True.
Apart from their height, there's nothing much that distinguishes them from your average American.
There's kind of a stigma, I think, that we can't do this, we can't do that. But I think we just find ways to figure it out.
In terms of day-to-day living, that can be as easy as asking for the odd hand.
Excuse me? Do you mind helping us reach the tartar sauce? Thank you so much.
Yeah, just the fat-free. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Making simple modifications.
They think you just have to be tall to drive. I have a little accessory called pedal extensions that pushes the original pedal.
Or occasionally shopping in the children's section.
Actually, this is kind of nice.
Yeah.
You kind of want it.
The way Becky sees it, there just aren't enough situations that require little people to change physically. A fact that she says empowers their community.
I don't think me being a foot taller would add any additional value to my life. I'm who I am, and I think the level of pride just continues to increase the more bias and stigmas that come our way. And yes, there are so many challenges that I've had to face to get to where I am today, but I think it just makes us stronger and it adds more to our characters.
You do it in the oven?
Yeah. People often ask me if I could wave a magic wand, would I choose to be a little person in my next life? And I always respond by saying yes, but I would change the way that the outside world reacts to me being a little person.
According to Becky, the biggest challenge facing little people is the prejudice of the average height world.
1, 2, 3. That happened to me when I was living in Los Angeles, where someone tried to pick me up and I ended up hitting my head on the cement. People assume that it's socially acceptable to pick us up and throw us across a room. People look at people with dwarfism as non-humans.
Becky and many others feel there's a simple explanation for these attitudes.
We represent the lollipop guild, the lollipop guild, the lollipop guild.
Historically, people with dwarfism have been portrayed negatively in the media as elves and leprechauns, and it just affects how each of us are treated in everyday life.
Films like The Wizard of Oz, Willy Wonka, The Wolf of Wall Street and Austin Powers are often criticised for their harmful depictions of dwarfism. Many also argued that these negative portrayals lead parents to enrol children in trials for drugs like vosoritide.
Down, mini-me.
Bless thy Lord in these thy gifts which you're about to receive. From
Becky fears the consequences for her people.
bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen.
If this drug is approved and does become popular, what do you think will happen to that community?
I hate to say this, but I'm almost glad that I may not be alive during that time, because there may be no community if it becomes so popular.
So when people say terms like genocide and elimination, it's accurate.
Absolutely. People are talking about how it's not meant to make our population extinct, but it's meant to take away the painful parts of what we go through. I feel that you can't have one or the other. Like, it's so much a part of our build and who we are, and like if you're taking a drug to then eliminate the painful parts but still keeping the character traits, I don't know if you can have both.
Becky, vosoritide is being given to babies who really have no agency in this process at all. What do you think of that?
If it was my baby, I wouldn't do it. I think a lot of average-type parents are fearful because they don't have enough evidence about what the future can be like for their child. This is who we are, and we can be fully capable and independent just as who we are. And yes, there may be some medical procedures that come up along the way, but it would just be so nice if people didn't just think that we needed to be fixed and embraced who we were.
In the US, this trial has faced pretty significant opposition from certain quarters. Why do you think that is?
There's a big belief that this medication will inherently take away the identity of those people being treated. It's no more changing their identity than if they have pneumonia and I treat them with penicillin.
If you've got a community that their bonds are built on height, some of that fear must be well-founded though.
Whenever something new comes out, it's controversial. When the treatment for leukemia came out in the 40s and 50s, people said it's unethical to treat children with leukemia. And now we wouldn't think twice about our children being treated for leukemia because we have almost 100% improvement rate. And I guess the other thing that these treatments are not compulsory. What they are is an option for families, and when families hear about this option, almost always they want an option that might improve the health of their child. But in the end, we're not trying to change anyone's identity, we're trying to keep children healthy.
Becky, what would you like those parents to know, to be thinking about as they make those choices?
What is it that you're trying to run away from or hide from? And what do you think this can fix? Your child can be anything. Give them the chance to spread their wings and be the best versions of themselves, and don't let your doubts or limitations get in their way.
Although vosoritide is on the cutting edge, it's not the only time science has tried to help people overcome the physical limitations of dwarfism.
I wish they would let you try clothes on. It's really the little things in life, like being able to pick a pair of pants at the store, try them on, and have them fit.
27-year-old Chandler was born with achondroplasia. Her parents are average height, and so are her brother and sister.
It's actually really nice.
When she was a teenager, she chose to undergo a surgical procedure called limb lengthening.
Limb lengthening involves the cutting of the bone, and they put screws in your legs or arms and pull the bone apart to let new bone form, which makes you achieve more height. So this was probably the highest shelf I could reach before any of my lengthenings. But, now I can just grab a jar of sauce off of a shelf like that.
Chandler is now 4'11". It's over 30 centimetres taller than she was expected to grow naturally.
Now I'm able to just get in a car and drive and not have to worry about pedal or hand adaptations. I mean, it just gives me another sense of independence.
Chandler had her first lengthening at 16, a few years after seeing this home video. To gain her extra height, she had 3 procedures, each taking between 6 and 8 months to complete.
Oh yeah, I forgot you wanted to watch.
And, being a good millennial, she documented all of it on social media.
I always heard opinions from people with dwarfism about lengthening that it was very excruciating and you're bedridden and you're just doing all of this just to be taller. And that's not it at all. This was like my, I'm gonna wear eyeliner phase.
Chandler now works as a patient advocate, helping families understand the medical treatments available to children with dwarfism. But the reaction from the short-statured community hasn't always been good.
Chandler, when you decided to get limb lengthening, what were you hoping for? What did you hope it would achieve?
The first thing in my mind that I was hoping for was that I would look like everybody else. It wasn't really a matter of my height. It was more of a matter of I wanted my arms and legs to be proportionate because, I wanted to look normal.
You've been pretty upfront talking about this experience. Have you had any pushback from the rest of the community?
I have received feedback from those in the dwarfism community who would private message me and tell me that my family never loved me and never accepted me. I'm gonna cry. They told my mom, your child is not one of you, she is one of us. And there are days where those words do get to me, but at the end of it, why does the choice that I made for myself affect you?
If a drug like vosoritide had been available to you and you had had the choice when you were younger, do you think it's something you would have taken up?
I know had I had an option like vosoritide, it is something that in a heartbeat I would have wanted to be on. Vosoritide, it treats and prevents a lot of the risks and complications that come with having achondroplasia. But achondroplasia itself will not go away.
We'll gather supplies and make them our own, and prepare to take flight into the great unknown.
Back in Melbourne, our 17-month-old Casper and his family continue to be part of the global trial for vosoritide, a controversial drug which may help children with dwarfism grow tall.
You're one of a kind, and it's so clear to see the world needs who you were made to be.
I first met the family 3 months ago, and since then, parents Daisy and Justin have given their son around 84 shots of either vosoritide or a placebo. And while they don't know if Casper has already been receiving the active drug, there has been some big changes for this little man.
Good boy. We're very excited because Casper's just started to pull himself up and stand. Watching Casper grow and develop is amazing and fills me with that warm sort of sense of pride. It's just immensely rewarding.
It's not the only change.
Hello.
How are you, Daisy?
I'm well, how are you?
Good to see you.
Likewise.
It's been a year since Casper joined the trial, and after a series of tests, Dr. Ravi has some news.
we're going to be consenting you into the next part of the study, which is the long-term extension part, which means he's 100% sure to be getting the active drug. And that medication, potentially, he'll be on till he finishes growing. So for the next 18 years. So it's very exciting. So thanks for hanging in there for the whole year.
Thank you.
So, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited to be a part.
So I'll just get you to write his name there. That's you. And your signature there. Welcome to the next part of his journey.
Thank you.
Very exciting.
Thank you. Thumbs up, Casper.
The condition that Casper has means that he has a much higher incidence of medical complications, functional limitations and other issues, and I just want to remove all of those so that he can live a life without any of the consequences of his medical condition.
He's very proud of himself.
He's so proud of him. He's just given me a massive how
He
good am
thinks
I.
he's doing an
just given me a
amazing
massive
job.
how good am I smile. I think it's what we all want for our children. So pretty simple, and if this trial and this medication can be part of that, I think it's a great option for families.
But behind all the excitement is the reality that Casper is a boy growing up between two worlds.
Ribbit, ribbit.
For Daisy, it's important for her son to know that whoever he becomes, he won't be alone. Today, Casper is meeting members of short-statured people of Australia.
So he has 4 words, and I'm very upset that Mum isn't one of them.
We're actually a support organisation for people with dwarfism and their families. We're also trying to provide an opportunity for people to meet people with similar conditions to themselves and be around people that are like them.
Maybe you can teach Casper one day.
For Casper, today is a chance to play with other short-statured kids, like 4-year-old Sienna.
I tell Casper that I love him.
Oh, that's beautiful.
For Daisy and Justin, it's a place to get answers they won't find anywhere else.
It was a whole new world, parenting a child with short stature as opposed to being short-statured myself. I'm still learning about the questions I need to ask and the things that I need to look out for and do for her.
But if Casper does outgrow this group, will he still have a place in it?
Drug trials kind of been a journey, I suppose, for the organisation. We want people to know that whether they want to be part of it or don't want to be part of it, they're welcome in our organisation, and being part of the community has nothing to do with height. It has to do with the condition and has to do with identifying with your peers.
Vosoritide is expected to be approved in Australia as early as 2022. Even if it can treat achondroplasia, the effect on the world's short-statured community, that won't be known for quite some time. And the question of whether kids like Casper should grow tall will face families for years to come.
I always say, just let everyone make their own decision, and it's always best to just be educated and to know what's out there.
I wouldn't do it. But at the end of the day, they're still a human being and they want to be loved and accepted. I would welcome them with open arms.
I would just hope that others would respect that our intentions were pure and we did the best we could and we did what we thought was the right thing.
Came from love.
Yeah, absolutely. For us, Casper's just a normal child. He's no different to any other child, really.